Greetings, I am Empress Aziza of Sacred Sister Soul Talks TV and the Sovereign Wawani Nation State. This vlog is entitled History is a Lie. Human history is based on loose fragments. What if only 150 years ago our planet was inhabited by a civilization far more culturally and technologically advanced than we are today? It seems that the destruction of our former civilization is much more recent than we imagined. Over the centuries, much of the literature and artifacts have been deliberately destroyed to keep people stupid and asleep. What hasn't been destroyed have been painted over or hidden. Ancient Greece was never and is now being discovered. The idea of a sophisticated, flourishing society existed in Greece more than 2 millennia ago was a complete fiction created by historians and anthropologists who worked non-stop to forge Greek documents and artifacts. Gwen Whitman said that Greece was chosen because they thought no one would ever go there to check it out. She likened Greece to an abandoned gravel pit infested with cats. Ouch. Professor Jean Handleberry admitted that they invented Aristotle, Socrates, and Hippocrates, and all kinds of columns and everything. He further stated that the people who live in what is now called Greece were called Romej during the Byzantine Empire and Raja during the Ottoman Empire. The name Greece did not exist in the Byzantine times.
One more time. What do I mean when I say that Rome doesn't exist? I'm going to try to hit all of the highlights. 1. Do I mean that literally the Roman time period did not exist? No. What I mean is, archaeologically speaking, Roman culture doesn't exist. They have no unique material culture. Anything you can think of that has been designated as Roman came from either Greece, Turkey, Asia, or Egypt. This includes things like the aqueducts, their clothing style, the style of their buildings, their gods, everything. 2. What about the Byzantine Empire or the Ottoman Empire? Neither of those groups were Roman. They were Greco-Turkic in the former case, and Persian and Asian in the latter case. 3. What about the entirety of the written historical record? I am sorry to break the news to you, but we have 0 original copies of anything. Any Roman author you can think of, we have no record of their original manuscripts. All we have are medieval copies written in the 14th, 15th, 16th centuries that can be dated, and those were written by the church in scriptoriums, and they burned the originals. Now this is weird because we do have documentation from civilizations that are older than Rome. 4. What about places like the Colosseum or Trajan's Column or Roman inscriptions written on things? You cannot radiocarbon date stone. The Colosseum has no artifacts that can be radiocarbon dated because it was looted. Trajan's Column matches another column from Greece, indicating that it was dragged there. The thing on top of it is a statue of the Pope, added much later. Inscriptions don't have geological weathering on them. They were added much later. 5. What about ancient Chinese mentions of the Great Roman Empire? Those don't exist. They mention the Great Syrian Empire, and we have no idea how advanced Syria was because they've been at war for forever and archaeologists can't get in. 6. What about the city of Rome? The city of Rome was created by the Vatican after the Great Western Schism. It was cow fields until the 1500s. 7. Where did we get this information from about Rome then? Mussolini and other fascists.
Ancient Rome and Egypt were also fictions. Most likely everything you have read about is a big lie. all that we have come to accept were carefully orchestrated and protected by secret societies. The knowledge of the existence of the one God, as well as our material existence, were all crafted carefully for us. We were made to believe that in this vast universe we existed in solitude.
Welcome to Tartaria, family. Look at these buildings. And family, you know what I've noticed is the date over here. You see the date? Let's zoom in a little bit. Look at the first one and look at the second one. As you can see, the second one has been chiseled. So normally it's 902, not 1902. And again, we see Tartarian design, but look at this one. Let me cross the street. Again, a very ancient design. And this is the free energy device. Let's zoom in so you can see it. Family, there was an ancient civilization and they are not telling us about it, but the evidences are everywhere around us. This ancient building, they turned it into a museum.
The world's architecture comes entirely from the Tartar Aryan high civilization. The word Tartar meant barbarian. The term barbarian is not derived from the name of any tribe or cultural group. There is no country called Barbar. The word comes from the Greek language and was used to connote any foreigner not sharing a recognized culture or language with the speaker or writer employing the term. The Berbers, a group of whom are originally known as Numidians, received the name Berber from the Roman term barbara or barbarian when they first encountered the Romans.
Churches and cathedrals were never built for religion and places of worship, and I'm going to show you exactly what these were built for. Now, churches and cathedrals display cymatic patterns in their windows, and cymatics are patterns made by frequency and sound. These windows display high vibrational healing frequencies, and some chapels even have songs encoded into their architecture. Now, this is what cathedrals look like on the inside. Clearly, this is not set up and designed for people to all be sitting and listening to someone all the way at the front. They were designed for people to lay down and listen to the healing frequencies from the instruments in these cathedrals. Now, our ancestors knew exactly how powerful frequencies are, and the oracle chamber is a perfect example of this. This is an underground chamber in Malta that pitches sound at 111 hertz, and 111 hertz frequency has been proven to kill cancer cells. Now, these cathedrals were also designed to generate their own free energy and convert it into electricity. This is why the word cathode is in cathedral. A cathode is a type of electrode through which electrons move. Now, this information has been intentionally hidden from us from our predecessors. However, we are in a time of awakening. The public consciousness is shifting and this information is coming to light. And this will definitely be a part of our free new world. Peace and love.
People who believe in the Tartarian Empire contend it was once a sophisticated, worldwide civilization with impressive architecture. Most of the empire was supposedly lost in a series of mudslides, typically referred to as the mud floods. Some buildings remain and still stand today. Famous landmarks such as the U.S. Capitol building, built in 1800, are claimed actually to be from the Tartarian Empire and to be thousands of years old. Notre Dame de Paris is one landmark that conspiracy theorists believe was created by the Tartars, not French craftsmen, in the 1100s. The ancients constructed these buildings to harness the electromagnetic energy that acted as molecules and changes the behavior of cells. This energy has been used to heal, levitate, transport, and create feelings of harmony and euphoria. Today, buildings in many places have their first floor buried under meters of sand and mud, and remnants of this action can still be seen in cities around the world. The Straits of Gibraltar, the Pillars of Hercules, the Star Fortress of Tartaria are here to defend and control an important message for merchant ships from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic to seize power. That's why there's so many old photographs of St. Petersburg and other great cities of the world, showing beautiful buildings but completely deserted because the people are missing. It seems that the destruction of our former civilization is much more recent than we imagine. The history of the most recent years, which appears in more than 5,000 Wikipedia pages, carefully reading of biographies, examination of thousands of photographs, and historical events, show that these events certainly took place in the years 1860 and 1920, and that the Second World War served only as a cover for the final destruction of the Aryan Tartar civilization and the complete establishment of a new world power, the New World Order, coordinated and led by a few corrupt deep staters. As it relates to Egypt, pyramids, theaters, and colosseums had water channels underneath them, indicating where the sound energy was being directed. If these empires existed as we were told, then it stands to reason that they might have been mentioned in one of the oldest books, the Bible, and not once, but several times over. The map of 1595, or Ortelius map, shows there's no Roman Empire. How is it that the cartographer missed Rome? Those scholars who might say this is incorrect by stating that there is the ancient statue of Romulus and Remus sucking at the she-wolf is evidence that Rome existed. There is only one problem with that argument. When the statue was examined, the evidence showed that it was made in the 11th to 12th centuries, which means that it was not made in 753 BC, when Rome was supposedly founded. How could Pliny and Cicero have seen it in the 1st century when it was made in the 11th and 12th centuries? Another telling detail is that the statue was moved by order of Pope Sixtus IV in the 15th century. I believe that I am sure you have your doubts now that history has been falsified using artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence can do a lot, but only a true researcher of history could detect them and put the pieces together like a puzzle. Back then, the deep state cabal created a cataclysm and used it to seize power in the ensuing chaos. Apparently, between 1865 and 1876, our ancient civilization was destroyed by waves over 300 meters high that swept across much of the planet, washing away the inhabitants of Australia and depopulating vast areas of the globe. As it relates to ancient Egypt, we know from all of the artifacts on Earth, such as the pyramids, mounds, and temples in Arizona, that ancient Egypt is ancient America. We all love ancient Egypt, but it was the offspring of a previous advanced civilization called Atlantis. Therefore, it was Atlantis that was actually the global advanced ancient civilization that we see all over the world, with pyramids, mummification, serpent worship, and the list goes on. Egypt is associated with pyramids. However, the most pyramids and the oldest pyramids are in the Americas. That makes the Americas the ancient Egypt. There are more pyramids in North America than all of Africa. Now, when we include Central and South America, it's not even a contest anymore. America is the true old world, as stated in the book written by Amentuhotep Bey. All those paintings on the walls of Egypt, or should I say the temple walls in Egypt, were staged and modified in the 20th century after the Great Reset, when the change of power happened on Earth and a new world order was birthed. The picture above displays a temple in Egypt. However, this temple and its walls are all AI generated. The temple is carefully placed to convey that it is real. The only thing real here are the steps. Everything else was altered to change the original appearance. This was a deliberate attempt to cut us off from our true roots of origin. The temple in this photo was originally a grain grinding and shifting and storage facility. Human history is based on loose fragments. Different languages appear for the first time in the history of mankind about 200 to 300 years ago, and until then, only one language was spoken throughout the world in the Tatar Macedonian Empire. Different languages were coined by the same Germanic Nordic Institute from the root words of the Proto-Macedonian language. Why do we know nothing about our past and its many artifacts? Even the hieroglyphics of the 20th century were invented, designed to create an ancient Egyptian civilization. Hieroglyphics were invented in the Mesopotamian region in the period between 100 and 1800 AD. Much like the hieroglyphics, the cuneiform scripts were invented and codified in the 20th century by the Oriental Institute of the University of Chicago under the Chicago Assyrian Dictionary, or CAD. Over the centuries, much of the literature and artifacts have been deliberately destroyed to keep people stupid and asleep. In conclusion, ancient Greece, Rome, and ancient Egypt never existed as we were made to believe. We live in a world where reality is presented to us as fantasy, and fantasy as reality. This world is not what we have been told it is, and everything we know about it is false. It's all a lie, and it is time the people wake up to know more about where they come from in order to craft out where they are going. I am Empress Aziza of Sacred Sister Soul Talks TV and the Sovereign Wawani Nation State. This vlog was entitled History is a Lie. Follow me on the Sovereign Wawani Nation State blog or on Telegram. Thank you for listening. Selah.